Can you read that? Is that mirror image? Is that backwards? All right, I was gonna wait for the stream to pick up here. I know it's early. It's 9 a.m. This isn't the usual. This isn't the usual time for the demographic, but that's okay because you know, on the internet everything happens all at once, all the time. Very much like a holographic perspective. If you've ever read Holographic Universe, Talbot. We'll get started here in a minute. We've got some interesting things I'd like to bring to you. I've got a whole list of topics. But before we do, of course, obviously, always thank you. I always start off with the gratitude, and I hope you do too. And because if it really wasn't for YouTube, I mean, YouTube is something I never wanted to do, but it's given me some things that I've always wanted. So thank you, thank you. If you've never seen Channel 2 or Channel 3, please make sure you check those out. I don't want you to buy anything. I'm not here to sell anything. I don't want you to sign up for any programs or courses. YouTube views is enough. And if you've ever seen Channel 2 or Channel 3, those are really important channels. And I'm here mostly to talk about Channel 3. If you could sign up for Channel 3, subscribe to that. There's going to be some great content, live content, just like this, interactive content. This has been a growing theme. On Channel 2, we did a lot of live content, and it was great. I'm going to start here in just a second. I've got something I really want to talk to. I've got the title on this live chat as Chiropractic Origin Story. That's not chiropractic origin story. It's my chiropractic origin story. And it is a tale of just crazy things happening all the time. So I'm gonna get started with that in just a minute. I'm letting the stream pick up here, but it's nice to be here on a Friday morning. Friday is a great day because I don't have to adjust any spines on Friday. I still work. I get a lot, people in my practice members and patients, they always say, oh, well, you don't work on Friday. You know, they kind of like rib me a little bit with that. Oh, you don't work on Friday. And I'm like, I work on Friday. I do. I do a lot on Friday. It's a great day. I just don't adjust spines on Friday because, to tell you the truth, it's difficult to adjust spines physically. You really have to put a lot of physical effort into adjusting spines. And so when I adjust spines Monday through Thursday, I give it my 100% all physically, mentally, emotionally. It's a lot. So you need that break. I'm probably going to get started at 100. We'll see. Once I get up to 100, then we'll start the actual content of this. But if you're just joining us now, please check out Channel 2 and check out Channel 3. Channel 2 is much more raw. You know, there's less editing, more chatter, more content. It's not ASMR derivative. It's a clinical channel. And it's fun to do the clinical videos too. I've got a friend helping edit those videos, so we're turning those out at least one a week, but looks like more like 2 a week now for the rest of this year. And also Channel 3. If you haven't seen it yet, Channel 3, there's links in all my descriptions for Channel 2 and Channel 3. Again, I don't want you to buy anything. I don't want you to sign up for anything. But if you do see some other links in my description, usually for a mattress or that vape thing that helps you quit smoking. It's not a vape though. It's a flavored air device. Or some ergonomic office equipment. You know, I'm only ever going to sponsor things that I think are helpful for people and things that I believe in, of course. And I make $0 off of you buying any of those things. I do. But if people quit smoking because they used a fume and they saw that from my channel, like that's a huge win. I love that. All right, we're almost there. We're at 92 now. I am going to start talking at 100. We'll start the stream at 100. And but before that, I'll just say thank you again. I like these lives on Channel 2. When I had a member, I still do. I have a membership on Channel 2. There's lots of hidden videos on Channel 2. It's like a 30-day program, and there was a lot of live content that was great there. But we did some live yoga stretching. I would love to do some live yoga stretching, and really have some joined consciousness united across the planet, breathing together kind of energy. That's like the best thing ever, right? Is everyone doing the same thing together. Lots of stuff there in my TED Talk. If you ever saw the TEDx talk that I did, I talked about group consciousness. Okay, so we're at 119 We're at 119 right now. And so we'll get started. So hold on. Oh yeah, I'm gonna do the thing that all YouTubers do, which is which is say, hey, a lot of people have been asking me the question. And, for me, immediately, as soon as I hear a YouTuber say, people have been asked, I'm like, no one asked you that. There's definitely no one ever asked me this question on YouTube. I've definitely never seen this comment. However, I do get asked this question a lot in practice. People want to know, how did you find chiropractic? And so the title of this video, Chiropractic Origin Story, is not the chiropractic origin story, although that's a fascinating story. I'm going to have to really, that's a big one. We're going to have to edit that one down and make something great when it comes to the real origins of chiropractic, because people want to go crazy about the people were crazy who involved. It was 1895. I mean, everyone was crazy back then. Medicine was doing some horrendous things when chiropractic was invented. So anytime you hear that standard, the guy who originated chiropractic is crazy and blah blah blah, all that stuff is nonsense. Don't believe any of that crap. Anyone who talks about that doesn't know what they're talking about. They're very misinformed. I mean, like, was it crazy back then in 18? They didn't even have electricity yet. So yeah, it was pretty crazy in 1895, and medicine was atrocious in general at the end of the 19th century. So that's a whole different story. So this story begins now. Okay, how did I find chiropractic? Well, the easy answer and the short answer to that is the truck driver told me to do it. The beer truck driver told me to do it. Not a lie. It was my after my second semester, my first summer after college. And I was pre-med. I was going to be a doctor. Always wanted to be a doctor. Ever since I was little, my mom said, Brent, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I was like, Mom, I think I want to be a teacher. And she was like, no. Who says no to their kid when they say they want to be a teacher, Mom? What is that? But I'm glad she did, because she was like, Brent, you have to be either a doctor or a lawyer. And I was like, fine, okay, I'll be a doctor. Like, it was obvious to me I would never want to be a lawyer. I saw enough lawyer shows. But then when I was like, I considered doctor just for a second, and I was like, that seems pretty cool, because you just work with people. There's no machines, there's no things, there's no computers. There's just people there, and then they ask you questions, and then you just do stuff for them. It seemed like the most easiest basic transaction in the world in my 10-year-old brain. So I was like, okay, I'll be a doctor. And so I was sitting there filling out the Common App, the thing that you fill out right before you go to college, and it like send your application out to everyone. And it was easy for me. I was like, pre-med biology, no questions. Like, science was always legit in my mind. I remember the first time I looked through a microscope and like the paramecium was like coming, I was like, it's alive. It's so tiny. It still blows my mind to this day. And so science, it was always about science. And so after my second semester of college, I was pre-med for a year. I was excelling in all my biology classes. My biology professors were always very impressed with my test scores. I was doing very well. And I was working on a beer truck, and the beer truck driver said, oh, you're going to be a doctor? What kind of doctor do you want to be? And I was like, I don't know yet. I'm not sure. I think I want to use my hands, because I've always been an athlete. I was never interested in sitting in a room and giving people prescriptions. Like, that didn't seem like wouldn't be fun to me. And the truck driver, who was familiar with me and my family, he was like, oh yeah, you were an athlete, you were a catcher, I remember you. And he's like, you should be a chiropractor. And I said, what's a chiropractor? I didn't know. And he was like, I was 19, okay? And he was like, they just help people with their hands and stuff. They just use their hands. And I was like, oh, okay, that sounds pretty good. And I remember right at that moment, bam, I had a flashback. And I was like, oh yeah, that's right. A chiropractor used to live near the house where I lived in high school. And we passed his house every day, and it was just a regular house, which was weird in New Jersey, in my town, that a business was being run out of the house. It was always very strange, but they had a very nice sign, a lot of good landscaping. No one was ever there. Never saw another car there, and so every day I drove by this chiropractic office, and one day I go, Mom. I was in the car with my mom, and I'm like, Mom, what's a chiropractor? And she goes, Brent, don't ever go to a chiropractor. And I was like, why? And she's like, because they don't believe in medicine and they don't vaccinate their kids. And I was like, okay, so first of all, the vaccine comment went way over my head. Like I didn't even remember. I had no idea what a vaccine was. But at that moment in the car with my mom, boom, I had a flashback. And I remembered, I was like, whoa, mom, I remember getting a vaccine. I remember the last vaccine that I got. I was in the doctor's office. I love my doctor. The doctor was standing right here. Doctor was standing right here with my mom, and I was standing right here with the nurse, and I had my thumb out like this. And they had this, it looked like dental floss, and it was like a box, and it had these two claws on it, and they were like, it was aimed right at my thumb and right against my hand. And like they're all looking at me, and I'm looking up at the doctor and my mom, and I look at the nurse, and the nurse is like, "Are you okay?" And I go, "Yeah, I'm fine. Why? What's gonna happen?" And then whoosh, the claws, and I was like, and like it hurt for like a second, and I was just like, "Whoa," and it started like I was about to, and my mom laughed at me. She was like, "No, no, no, you're fine." And I was like, okay, it's fine. I remember so I was like, boom, back in the car with my mom. Okay, I was like, Mom, I remember getting vaccinated. But anyway, that comment about not getting vaccinated went right over my head. But I remember being astounded when she told me that chiropractors don't believe in medicine. And I was like, what does that even mean? How could you not believe in medicine? Like, I had asthma allergies growing up, and so I got lots of ear infections until I started getting chiropractic care, and that's when I stopped getting ear infections. But anyway, at the time, growing up, it was amazing to me. Drugs were miraculous. Antibiotics, amoxicillin was a miracle drug, because I would be like, oh, my ear and my face would just, oh, it would be terrible. And I would go, and they would give me this prescription. We'd go get it filled. And I always thought it was weird that the doctor didn't have the medicine, and I would take one, and I remember it would be like, oh, I feel better. Like it immediately would work. And then like in 2 days, I would be completely fine. And then, excuse me, and then I would never finish the rest of my amoxicillin. I always had bottles of amoxicillin left over. And I always used to be like, save that shit for later, because why do this again? Ooh, I don't know if I'm allowed to curse on this. Anyway, so I was just sitting there in the car with my mom when she was like, chiropractors don't believe in medicine, and they don't believe in, and they don't vaccinate their kids. And I just like, I was like, but anyway, now that flashback's over. I'm back in the truck right? And I'm like, okay, the only thing I know about chiropractors at this point is that they don't believe in medicine, and they don't vaccinate their kids, and that they fix things with their hands. And I'm like, okay, that's gotta be, okay, I need to research that a little bit more. And so I went and I asked my dad, and I remember my dad, who's no longer living, is probably one of the top 3 most academically intelligent men or people that I've ever met in my entire life. Princeton University graduate. He was all honors, 2 sports All-American athlete, player of the decade of all Ivy Leagues for the 1970s. I mean, like, we're talking phenomenal student athlete. Knew the answer to every question growing up, like every single math, science, physics question. Like he had it all right here. And so I could trust my dad. And so I asked my dad, what is a chiropractor? What does a chiropractor do? And he was like, oh, Brent, you know how I throw my back out every once in a while? And I'm like, yeah, it's terrible. It's like my dad would be on the floor with his legs up, same thing, ring dinger position. He would put his legs up, ice underneath his back. Same advice I give to people. And he's like, well, one day I threw my back out and I went to the chiropractor across the street from my office. And he said he walked in, bent over at the waist, and he couldn't stand up. Now, this is just a random chiropractor that my dad walked into. He said he walked in and the lights weren't on and there was no one at the front desk, which is weird. And he said, then the chiropractor came from the back, and it was a little old man. And the chiropractor came out from the back and didn't say anything and just waved him back. Okay, there's just no entry exam, no new patient, anything like that. No anything, just come on back. And so my dad said he opened the door and he walked into the room and then closed the door behind him. Then my dad said, the chiropractor looked at him up and down and said, can you stand up? And my dad said he tried to stand up and then he immediately went like this because he had so much back pain, immediately antalgic lean. And then the chiropractor said to him, okay, lay down on your side. Right into side posture, no analysis whatsoever, but he did have an analysis. It's because when you lean away from pain, antalgia, it means you have a lateral disc. right? So the chiropractor obviously had to be an SOT practitioner. There's no other way that he would have known that. And because if he was Gonstead, he would have taken an X-ray. But so my dad said he laid down on his side, and the chiropractor stood up over top of him, and then he went whack. I remember my dad had these like huge, big catcher hand. He was a catcher, and he had these huge hands. And I remember the way that he clapped, like it just went through me. And then my dad said, I stood up, and I was fine, no pain. It was amazing. My dad never said anything was amazing, okay? I could go 3 for 4 with 2 doubles and a home run and 7 RBIs, and he would have been like, yeah, but you let that runner steal second in the 3rd inning. I'd be like, Dad, we won by 15 runs. Okay? But when my dad said it was amazing, I was like, wow, that's significant to me. And so all I knew about chiropractic at the time, I was already pre-med, all I knew about chiropractic was that they didn't believe in medicine and didn't vaccinate their kids, and that they fixed things with their hands, and that somehow one of them magically fixed my dad when he couldn't stand up. And I was like, well, Dad, what you've thrown your back out since I've known you. Well, why don't you go back to another chiropractor? And he said, okay. Well, I threw my back out again the next year. And he said, and I went back to that other chiropractor, or I tried to go back to that other chiropractor, but he was gone. I guess he died or something. That's what my dad said. I guess he died or something. And I was like, now I'm looking back at this, I'm like, okay, this guy somehow, some miracle worker chiropractor, just long gone and forgotten about. No one knows anything about it. We can't let that happen. We just don't let those things happen in chiropractic. That's why tradition and lineage is important. So anyway, my dad said, so the next year I go back to another chiropractor. Now the chiropractor that he went to is this famous chiropractor in my hometown. He's like the guy that everyone knows and the guy that everyone goes to. So my dad said, so I went in, same thing, couldn't stand up. I went in and he laid me on a table that went like this, right? And I was like, oh, okay. And so my dad said he stood over top of him and he went like this with his hands. Just really soft and really gentle. And then he stood him back up. And then he looked at my dad and he said, okay, now you have to come back 3 times this week and 3 times a week for the next 3 weeks and 2 times a week for the next. And my dad was like, F that. And so immediately I was like, okay, so there's 2 kinds of chiropractors. There's people who can just perform miracles with their hands. And then there's chiropractors who do some crazy marketing. That doesn't mean that people don't need a lot of care sometimes, by the way. Some people, I never ever see anyone 3 times in a week, 2 times a week. If I'm doing my job correctly, then really you'll feel better after the 1st and 2nd visit. That's for the worst, most severe acute pain ever. 3 times a week for 3 weeks, it's not a very good not a very effective chiropractor. But maybe there's a reason for that. Anyway, the point is that I was really forming this idea of what chiropractic was. And so I went back to school, and this is my 3rd semester of undergrad. And I remember I was like, I'm going to Google this. I remember Google had just been out for 2 years. I think it was the first thing I ever Googled. I was like, I'm going to Google this. I'm going to do that Google thing. And so I Googled chiropractic. And the first thing that came up was a sponsored ad, but I didn't know what that was at the time. And it was an ad for the school that I would eventually go to. So they got me. And it was for Life University. And so I clicked on that ad. And I remember that when it came up on the banner, it said at the very top of the site, it was like, in chiropractic, we don't use medicine or surgery. We use the chiropractic adjustment to stimulate the nervous system and the body's ability to heal itself. And I remember when I read that, it felt so true because of studying biology and understanding the principles of life. I thought to myself, that is the most brilliant thing that I have heard about medicine to the point of my life in 19 years. And I thought to myself, yeah, the nervous system is the most complex aggregate mass of matter on this planet. That was the opening That's the opening sentence to the nervous system chapter in the biology book that I was studying. It was so impactful that I still remember that sentence. On the picture of the left, there was a picture of a flower with the Fibonacci sequence, which I didn't know what that was at the time. And on the right, it said nervous system. And then the first sentence, the nervous system is the most complex aggregate mass of matter on the planet. It is the highest form of technology that we have. And so when I read that banner, it made sense. And then it also made sense of what my mom said too. And I was like, oh, my mom said that chiropractors don't believe in medicine and they don't vaccinate their kids. And so it made sense to me that it's not because chiropractors don't believe in medicine or those other things. It's because chiropractic is a completely separate idea and philosophy than what we would call reductionist Western medicine. Now, remember, I've got the whole divided legacy thing, all 4 volumes. I've read the history of medicine more times than anyone else I've ever known in my entire life. And so this idea between Eastern and Western has always been there for 2,000 years. And so to me, this is my first introduction into an Eastern philosophy, which is that your body and actually being alive in general, any living cell, one characteristic that is always present of anything that is alive is the ability to return to homeostasis. And so I was so fascinated at that point to learn at 19 years old that chiropractic adjustments stimulated the body's nervous system so that the body could heal itself. I knew that I was stepping away from what my mom had said. I was even stepping away from what my dad had said about being, this mechanical thing. And I signed up to go to chiropractic school at age 19 before I had ever even been to a chiropractor. I'd never even talked to a chiropractor. And and I signed up to go to chiropractic school, and I knew I was going to be one. And I signed up to finish my undergrad at Life University, and I signed up, finished my Life University undergrad, and then go into the doctorate program, which is a crazy thing. So 2 things there that I'll finish up on, because I'll get into this in later videos. Number 1 is there was some I don't know, beef. I don't know. What do you call that? I don't know. How about misinformation about chiropractic school? I saw it on a very popular podcast that said, oh yeah, the chiropractic success, or the chiropractic graduation rate is 99%. Well, first of all, it's not 99%. Okay. The chiropractic graduation rate. Let me back up actually just 1 second. Let me finish the story about, so I signed up for chiropractic school. I had never been to a chiropractor. Okay. And then on the first day of chiropractic school, after I finished my undergrad, on the first day of chiropractic school, everyone had to stand up and talk about how they became a chiropractor. And people would have these amazing stories. One guy stood up and said, I played football and I got injured on the field, head-to-head collision. He was paralyzed on the ground, and he said he was paralyzed, and one of the assistant coaches was a chiropractor, and he came on the field and adjusted and cracked his neck, and he said, then I stood up and I was fine, and then I scored 3 touchdowns or whatever. And everyone was like, oh my God, that was amazing. And then another person, and then the girl right next to him, and everyone was like, oh, wow. And then the girl next to him was just like, she stood up and she was like, oh, yeah. That's exactly what she said. Oh, yeah. And everyone was like, what is she about to say? And she was like, when I was a kid, I dove into a pool and hit my head at the bottom and I died. That's what she said. I swear to God. She said, I died. And then they pulled me up out of the pool, and her uncle was a chiropractor and adjusted her back to life. And everyone was like, what in the world is happening? That can't be real. That's not. But like, we all got to know her because over the next 3 years or whatever, she was like, obviously she didn't really die. She might've been unconscious or whatever, but like a chiropractic adjustment saved her life from. So anyway, everyone's talking these amazing stories, and everyone was very familiar with chiropractic. At that point, I had been adjusted because I'd been an undergrad for a couple of years, but they got to me and I was just like, the truck driver told me to do it, and that was it. And I just beelined out of the room for the day, and I was just like, see you later. So 2 things that I want to go back on. Number 1 is that, so there's this, people love to talk People love to trash chiropractic. I guess people get their medical advice from Penn and Teller, and but people have been cracking people's backs for thousands of years. And I've got some really interesting science that I'm going to share with you guys on Channel 3, Chiropractic Care and Education. There is a link in the description of the last video, and if you can't find it, then I will leave a link excuse me, in the comment section of this one, because I'm going to go live from Channel 3 in just a couple minutes after I get done here. We're almost at 30 minutes for this live. So we're going to go live on Channel 3 soon. So I'm going to finish up these two things. So people like to talk about the graduation rate of chiropractic schools. And someone was like, oh, it's 99%. Everyone passes who gets into chiropractic school. Now, it's not 99%, but it is in the 90%. Just like any medical school, it's in 90%. And the reason for that is because smart people go to chiropractic school, and people who are capable of going to chiropractic school. Because even though the passing graduate rate of chiropractic school is within the 90 percentiles, the entrance rate of getting into chiropractic school is significantly lower. As a matter of fact, it is very difficult. It's not difficult. I mean, it's doable, but it's not easy to get into chiropractic school, okay? They don't just let anyone into chiropractic school. In order to get into chiropractic school, you have to have a bachelor's degree in science. What that means is that you've taken organic chemistry 1 and 2, which are the two hardest undergraduate classes that you can take in college. I would say arguably our organic chemistry 1 and 2 are the most difficult classes that you could take. And the reason why I would say that is because even as a science major, organic chemistry in 1 and 2 were difficult. And I'm not good at math, but college algebra really wasn't that difficult. In trigonometry, like, you could do math. I just don't like to do math. But like organic chemistry 1 and 2 are difficult courses, even for a science major. So if someone had a Bachelor of Arts degree, they had a poli-sci degree or a humanities degree or whatever, even if you showed up to chiropractic school with a Bachelor's of Arts, they would still make you take science classes. You can't just get into chiropractic school with a Bachelor of Arts. They'd be like, no, you're going to have to take physics 1 and 2. You're going to have to take chemistry 1 and 2. And you're going to have to take organic chemistry 1 and 2. Organic chemistry and chemistry are different classes. And organic chemistry is extremely difficult. So to get into chiropractic school might have a great graduation rate, just like medical schools. It's because smart people go to medical schools. But to get into either one of those schools, you have to demonstrate proficiency in the sciences. And that was it. So there was one other thing that I thought that I was going to go back on, but I forget what that is right now. So we're not going to go back on it. But I would love to get into one day. We're going to really digress on all of the anti-chiropractic content that's out there. If I had nothing to do, everybody, then I could dedicate my life to making anti-chiropractic, because the idea is that people have been manipulating spines for thousands of years. I don't know if you ever heard this story, but they say the Trojan army was one of the greatest armies ever on this planet. Not that I like war, but they say that it's one of the greatest armies because they used to give each other massages before battles. Like the soldiers, they would massage each other. That's great. I guarantee they were cracking each other's backs too. People have been manipulating spines for thousands of years, and we'll continue to manipulate spines regardless of what it goes under. And to make anti-chiropractic material would be fantastic, because the things that exist out there that are anti-chiropractic is garbage. And people can have bad chiropractic experiences, that's fine, but the profession as a whole is scientifically sound. And that's what we're going to talk about on Channel 3. Just in another couple minutes, I'm going to shut this live down. And thanks again for watching today. And thanks again. Just hit me up on Channel 3. I'm going to leave a link at the bottom of this in the comment section as soon as I sign off. And then we'll go over to Channel 3, where I have something pretty awesome to share with you. And it's going to be cool. So I'll see you over there on Channel 3. Chiropractic Care and Education. I'm about to leave this. Also, I see all the comments here. I'm definitely going to get into some comment rolls. I would love to do some comment rolls with you guys and just chill and hang out and do comment. That was a great time on It was a great time on channel 2 when I used to do that, and so we'll come back to that. But thanks again. I'll see you guys soon. I'm gonna actually hit this button right here because I don't know what it is. And 49-second short was uploaded to your channel as unlisted. Okay, that was interesting. So it just made a short for me automatically. That's crazy awesome. Okay, now I'm gonna end this live. Okay, see ya. Peace. Oh, awkward moment.